Square Enix, what are you doing, guys? I mean, recently it's just they've been leaning more and more into cynical business models, live services, and promotions of NFTs. And now with Chocobo GP, what should have been a simple home run release, a good little bite of nostalgia, has turned into this huge controversy because of how awfully monetized it is. Chocobo GP, for those who don't know, was announced last year for the Nintendo Switch. It is a remaster or remake, essentially, of the title that came out on PS1. And now we've got, obviously, much better graphics. And, it looks like a fun little charming Mario Kart-style game with a Final Fantasy coat of paint. Looks innocent enough until you realize that it is infested with microtransactions, which is why if you go to Metacritic, you'll see that the user scores at a measly 2.2 with plenty of mentions of freemium elements, of microtransactions, how aggressively monetized this game is, so on and so forth. This is a $50 game if you get the full-priced version, and still it is monetized to hell and back as if it were free to play. Now, there is a light version that is free, but it's just a lot more limited in the content that you can access. So most people want to get the $50 premium version, but even if they do, they're going to be nickel and dimed constantly throughout this game. And this is highlighted by Twitter user Tango Bunny, who posted a number of screenshots highlighting the monetization elements you'll encounter when you boot up Chocobo GP. And screenshots include weekly bonuses of Mithril, which is this game's premium currency. Log in every week and you get a certain amount. You've got this screenshot highlighting how Cloud and Squall are available to be unlocked as characters throughout Season 1. You can purchase a prize pass, a battle pass essentially, and complete it to obtain Cloud. And then you can collect Gil, which is an in-game currency, to obtain Squall. Get season rewards by taking part in Chocobo GP. And of course, these are generally going to be limited time only, and so you need to complete the season before the exclusive rewards are gone forever, generating that fear of missing out, that FOMO. Beyond that, here's a look at the Mithril shop, where you can see here you can purchase the premium currency and then go through the various tabs here to purchase cosmetic items, BGM, among other valueless items that you'll have to spend real money on top of the premium price you already paid for this game. And then finally, we have a look at the Battle Pass here, Chocobo GP Season 1. Cloud is what you receive if you go all the way up to level 60, and until then you'll be receiving, like how any typical battle pass works, a number of rewards as you level up through the battle pass. And you do have to spend Mithril to be a part of this battle pass. That's what battle passes have always been. They've always been pay so that we allow you to progress through progression system that will actually give you rewards for playing the game. And many players are not satisfied with the progression rate of the battle pass, with Benjamin Brewer here, for example, tweeting, "So after about an hour of playing the online mode in Chocobo GP, I managed to win one of its tournaments, and by the end of that time, I'm only at level 7 for the battle pass. You need to get to level 60 to unlock Cloud." So on top of all of these things that you have to spend real money on to fully enjoy the game, the grindy pace of the game isn't doing it any favors either. And we're starting to see plenty of headlines surrounding this game now. Players rage as $50 Chocobo racing game tries to nickel and dime them. And you can read a description here of why people are so pissed at this monetization system that feels like it belongs in a freemium mobile game. There are a bunch of different currencies for different types of shops where you purchase new carts, outfits, and other unlocks. There is Gil, tickets you earn from playing the game, and Mithril you can only get by spending real money. It's the kind of thing you'd expect from a free-to-play mobile game like Mario Kart Tour rather than a premium Switch game. And then scrolling further down, we got some details about the process of, say, unlocking Cloud. If you want to get Final Fantasy VII's Cloud Strife, for example, you need to buy Chocobo GP's first season pass. That costs 800 Mithril. Normally, Mithril packs are $10 for 1,000, but launch period promotion is giving out 1,600 for just $8, and I'm assuming they mean 1,600 Mithril, not $1,600 for $8. The game will also give you 800 Mithril just for logging on during Season 1, so everyone playing at launch will technically get the Season Pass for free. Read the fine print though, and you'll see that the complimentary 800 Mithril expires if not used within 5 months. The Mithril you pay for yourself remains. Now, Polygon's article adds additional context. There's also the matter of the prize passes cost itself. That runs 800 Mithril, and to be fair, some premium games also sell a Battle Pass too. While the first season is functionally free, returning players 800 Mithril once players log on, they still have to buy said Mithril, and that's ordinarily $10 for 1,000 in the currency. A launch promotion is giving out 1,600 Mithril for $8, but that's effectively only $2 off if you're only in it to unlock things in the prize pass. So the added benefit is you get to purchase a couple extra things with the remaining Mithril. But if you're just in it to purchase the battle pass, it's really not much in the way of savings anyway, because of how the price is structured and how the number of Mithril you obtain for that price is structured in such a way that it's staggered, and in such a way that you have to kind of buy a higher tier in order to have enough Mithril to unlock the thing that you want. That's how these kinds of games tend to strategically price the amount of premium currency you need to spend on something. So you have to go a tier higher when it comes to how much money you spend on premium currency. Further, the 800 Mithril you get paid back from the prize pass expires if you don't use it within 5 months. It's clear Square Enix wants players to acquire and spend that Mithril even if they don't want anything it buys. With that expiration date, people will have to go and shop around so that the Mithril that they have will be worth it before it expires and it goes to waste. And that's how they try to get people to go into the shop and hopefully get hooked to the shop, so they make future expenses. And while for Season 1, Square Enix might be being a bit more generous about the Battle Pass by essentially giving you back the 800 Mithril and allowing you to essentially spend that on other things, cosmetics, whatever you can buy on the shop, the fact remains that it would seem as though while the first season pass is free, future ones seemingly won't be, and free is a very relative term here. It's more about the way they're manipulating players through the free Mithril and through easier access for the Battle Pass now, but in the future, they'll likely lock that off to players who make that expense and spend way more than they should be spending on a game like this. And the cherry on top to all of this is how deceptive Square Enix was about all of this. They kept all of this hidden under the rug until the right time to strike came. Reviewers didn't get any notice about Chocobo GP featuring this kind of level of microtransactions, and the Mithril economy didn't go live until after reviews went up. Right now, if you go to Metacritic, it has a pretty low score of 66. Even taking the microtransactions aside, many don't see this as, up there among the best kart racers. Reviewers say, it's fun here and there, and there's some charm to it, but in terms of content and, circuit designs and stuff like that, it just doesn't compare to what other similar games like Mario Kart, which is the king of kart racers, has accomplished. So this game is not getting the best of Metascores, but I would imagine this score would have been a lot worse if the microtransactions were released during review time. But of course, Square Enix knew this. All the game publishers who do this know this, which is why they sneak in the microtransactions after the more positive reviews are out. That way it doesn't factor in to the criticism. It is just blatant deception, blatant mismarketing, blatant disinformation. And well, it should come as no surprise that the Square Enix community are none too happy about this. In fact, if you go to the Final Fantasy subreddit right now, you'll find this quote that's been making a decent amount of traction. I mean, Chocobo GP is not a hugely popular game, so it's not going to attract a whole lot of argument, but people are still plenty disappointed that Square Enix has been on this losing streak lately because of how greedy they've been. Words cannot express how disappointed I am with Chocobo GP. This could have been awesome, and instead it's a total freaking shit show. At least they had a demo version that let me know before I spent money on it. Like, everything is built around purchasable season passes despite it being a paid game, and it's basically the same currency systems we see in gacha games, only it's all just for minor card customization crap. And I literally can't even get a multiplayer race to start because it keeps keeps airing out saying one or more consoles is not responding. Oh yeah, plenty of reports about errors when it comes to racing online and whatnot to add on top of all of this. And the solo story mode only lets you run one race in the demo version, but the story was told entirely through little slideshow thingies, and the actual race was dull with crappy controls. Like, I was excited for a new Chocobo racing, but my impressions from the demo are bad. I'm definitely not spending money on this in its current state. Day ruined, etc. So, the game doesn't play the best, but the fact that it was designed and built around the monetization as far as its progression goes just means it's not going to incentivize people to stay with it in the long term. Here's somebody else who had no idea what they were in for, legitimately had no idea about all of the microtransactions crap, booted up the game, was greeted immediately with in-game currency you buy with MTX, battle pass to get rewards with 2 tiers, and the entire design making it feel like my Nintendo Switch is a phone. Here's somebody else going that this game should have been free to play across the board instead of having a light free version that doesn't give you access to enough content for it to be worth it. With the amount of microtransactions in this game, and given that the quality of the game isn't up there, $50 is woefully an unjustified value for this title. But you get the idea. That's kind of what the rest of the comments are about, just how shitty the microtransactions are, and how none of this was advertised, and how Square Enix went out of their way to intentionally deceive customers by not featuring the microtransactions during the review process. Naturally, with all of the backlash Chocobo GP has been experiencing, we're now at a point where the developers have released a message, a PR statement, a letter, whatever you want to call it, discussing the issues, and you can see right here from the ratio of retweets versus likes that it is not going down well. Now, there's a Reddit user who managed to translate all of this. It is all highlighted in this post by SatAm, and scrolling down, you'll find sort of a summary version. So basically, they're aware of and working on fixing the online issues. They sent out 500 mithril and lowered XP requirements on the pass as an apology to players. Yeah, this is how typically companies tend to apologize. Here's more of the currency that'll hopefully get you more hooked to our shop. Here's more currency with no actual value, the thing that initially pissed you off, and the thing that seeped into the design, corrupted it, and negatively influenced the integrity of this game. Now, they lower the XP this time, but it may not be how they do future passes. It may just be for this period when people are really pissed at the state of the game. Major updates and changes will come with season changes, so there will likely be no future adjustments for season 1. They're only making major changes with each season rather than, making changes as necessary as they go along, which is disconcerting and means that updates, critical updates won't be as frequent as they should be. More details about plans for the shop, and then characters on the pass may be available to be purchased directly with Mithril or Gil after the pass has been run. So maybe some of these items will come back after a season's over, maybe not. It's a bit of a gamble. More FOMO elements, and more details about upcoming items for the shop. And then currently Mithril can only be purchased via login reward, but starting in season 2, it'll also be a pass reward. And we'll see just how much Mithril they actually reward through the pass, what'll be enough for you to get enough Mithril to purchase the next battle pass, kind of do a fortnight, or if they only give out enough to maybe purchase one extra small cosmetic and be really stingy about it. It wouldn't surprise me at all if the latter is what happened. Balance changes coming in season 2. Again, major adjustments are only being done season by season, but they're not touching anything else before then. And then here's an important bit for players criticizing the monetization. They are taking player feedback about DLC and microtransactions into account. Yeah, that's what they all say. Oh, we're listening. We have heard. We're definitely considering all of the feedback and really chewing on this, and we're really going to make sure to take this stuff seriously and make the right adjustments. I'm sure there's going to be a 2-step forward, 1-step back kind of maneuver where they go overboard with the microtransactions so that when they dial it back down and say, we're sorry, oh man, we didn't see this coming, they can take that 1 step back, but still have taken that 1 step forward, which may very well be exactly where they want it to be. And they can disguise all of this as taking action based on feedback and taking the feedback seriously, when all this is them backpedaling just enough to stave off some of the backlash and maybe get some compliments along the way, while deviously putting the microtransactions exactly where they wanted and still being able to nickel and dime under the perception that they made changes because they care about what the community are saying, when they only really care about not getting more negative optics and still being able to monetize enough. And then there are some details about adjustments to XP gains and more cosmetic BGM sorts of things coming to the shop. And then finally, some details about potential changes and enhancements to the light free version of the game. They may be allowing light players to access the host roster, so if a light player who only has a handful of racers available plays with somebody who has the whole roster unlocked because they bought the full game and whatnot, they may be able to have access to what the host player has access to, so there is some even playing field there. But the light version still sounds awful, and hell, the premium version sounds awful. Even worse, because you're paying $50 on top of all the BS microtransactions that you're going to have to navigate in order to have an enjoyable time with this game. Yeah, I don't know what Square Enix is thinking. Greed is really starting to blind them at this point. It feels like they've let the success of Final Fantasy XIV get to their heads, and now they're thinking that they can just continue to factory produce live services and then, just randomly throw darts until they hit a bullseye and, rake in money from nickel and dimed players. But endeavors like Marvel's Avengers, which, barely rakes in 200 or so players, and Babylon's Fall, which only peaked at a little over 1,000 players and lately has been struggling to get into the triple digits and gets into the double digits. These are games that are soulless, purely driven by greed, purely driven by the idea of a monetization machine rather than a proper video game that retains the engagement of players and that gives them reason to stick along for the ride and gives them a good time. It's like the fun factor is something that's forgotten. Hell, Square Enix in their New Year letter from the president talking about how they want to double and triple down on NFTs and metaverse. Right here, they mention how play to have fun is this other category of games. Some people might play to have fun and NFTs might not be for them, as if the inherent purpose of video games wasn't to make it fun. If this is the direction that Square Enix is planning to take, if they're just going to go full EA on us from here on out, especially given that Square Enix isn't particularly good at live service releases, I don't foresee Square Enix just surviving for much longer if they keep tanking their reputation and they keep releasing tanking products like Chocobo GP, Marvel's Avengers, and Babylon's Fall. When you actually put the work in and focus on releasing good games, Square Enix, you actually do fairly well. But lately, it's been about taking the shortcut of live service, a shortcut that for the most part doesn't tend to lead to huge success. It's already such an oversaturated market, and you kind of have to stand out from the pack. And with lame releases like Marvel's Avengers and Babylon's Fall, just the most box standard, bland, just unfun live services which try to follow a trend instead of being leaders of new trends or leaders of the genre. And now them taking a classic old school game and retroactively turning that into a live service and taking a game that was meant to be just a fun, full packaged video game and trying to shove that into a live service mold that it doesn't belong. Them just essentially trying to live service-fy as many of their games as possible. Yeah, at this rate, Square Enix is really, really starting to give me a bad vibe for what the future holds for this company and its future projects. But that's just one man's take. Let me know in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on the backlash surrounding Chocobo GP and the way it's monetized. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And to be further updated on all things gaming news, reviews, and discussions, stay tuned right here on Young Yeah. I'll see you guys next time. Young out.